Alright, you are welcome to SS2 scheme of work on mathematics, quadratic inequalities. That is what we are starting with. But before I move on, I need to let you know the proper interpretation of inequality sign, because some students have been misled the way they are taught. So this is a simple way. Always start your pronunciation from the letter end and make sure you finish it at the number end. So if I want to pronounce this one, this will be x greater than 3. How do I know that x is greater than 3? Because anything at the open end of this inequality, this is the open end here, is always greater. While anything at the pointed end, that's the way I normally refer to it, is always lesser. So if I start from here, that means x greater than 3. Now look at this one. We notice that these and these are the same now. Why? Because starting from x again, x is still at the open end, while 3 is still at the what? Pointed end, as we have it here. So x is still greater than 3. But if you are starting from the number end, that means 3 is less than x. 3 is less than x. And let's have a look at this one. X is now at the pointed end, while minus 5, which is a number, is at the open end. So starting my pronunciation from the letter end, I will say x is less than minus 5. X is less than minus 5 because x is still at the pointed end. That means these and these are the same. So depending on where you are starting your pronunciation, but if I want to start my pronunciation from the number end, I will say minus 5 greater than x. Minus 5 greater than x. Okay? Now, what do we now mean by quadratic inequality? It just simply means we have a quadratic instead of an equation, because an equation will have equal sign. We are going to have an inequality sign instead of equal to. That is what makes it quadratic inequalities. That means the knowledge you have had about solving quadratic equation is still valid. We are still going to use it. So the only area to expatiate my explanation on is that inequalities. How do we interpret it? Let us move along. Now, let's have a look at the first example question. Solve x squared minus 4x minus 5 greater than or equals to 0. You can see this is an open end. Alright, the first step, you will change this inequality sign to equals to. That's the first step. So let me box it. So I will change it now to equals to. Changing this to equals to will enable us to factorize or solve it by any method you want. You can use formula to solve it. It doesn't matter. So, but since it is factorizable, this will give us x minus 5 into bracket and into bracket x plus 1 equals to 0. Now, I can now change this back to inequality. So it will now be x minus 5 in bracket x plus 1 in bracket greater than or equals to 0. Alright. So, before I do that, I need to find the values of x. So that means x minus 5 equals to 0 or x plus 1 equals to 0. So from here, x is equal to 5 or x is equal to minus 1. So I will now change this back, this equation equal to back to the inequality. So I will now have x minus 5 in bracket, x plus 1 in bracket greater than or equals to 0. Okay? Now, having done that, we now want to have a look at the range where the values of x will be able to satisfy these inequalities. That is what we are going to do now. Now, these two brackets are these: x minus 5, x plus 1. Anyone can come first. It doesn't matter. Okay. The values of x, minus 1 and 5. This is the horizontal line representing the number line, which is x. Since minus 1 is less than 5, so minus 1 here, 5 here. Why? Because where we are coming on the number line from left to right is increasing. So that means from minus 1 to the left here is decreasing. That is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, and so on. Why this one is minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Okay? Now, we will now put in the value. Now, for this minus 1, anything less than minus 1, if I put it here, let's see minus 2 now. If I put minus 2 here to replace x, minus 2, minus 5, that will be minus 7. If I put minus 3, minus 3, minus 5, that will be minus 8. If I put this minus 1 itself, this very particular minus 1, minus 1, minus 5, that will be minus 6. That means everything we are getting is what? Negative. That means before minus 1, let's go after minus 1. If I go after 1, that will be 0. If I put 0 here, it will still be negative. If I put 2, 2 minus 5, negative 3. If I put 4, 4 minus 5, negative 1. That means between minus 1 and 5, we still have negative. Okay? Let's now go to after 5. After 5. So if I put anything, okay, if I put this 5 exactly here, what would it give me? That will be 5 minus 5. That will be what? 0. That means at exactly 5, we are getting 0 when we put 5 there. But let's go after 5. When we go after 5, let's say 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. If we put 6 here, that will be 6 minus 5 plus 1. 7 minus 5 plus 2. That means anything you are getting here will be positive. Now, let's do the same thing here. Anything negative, let me put minus 2, which is less than minus 1. Minus 2 plus 1, that's minus 1, is negative. If I put minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2, that's still negative. That means anything less than minus 1, once you put it here to replace x, it will give you negative value. But when you plug in exactly minus 1 here, minus 1 plus 1 will be 0. That means on the line of minus 1, I'm putting 0. Now let me go outside minus 1. That means 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. So if I put 0 here, 0 plus 1 will give me positive 1. 1 plus 1 will give me positive 2. 4 plus 1 will give me positive 5. If I use this 5 exactly here, 5 plus 1 will give me positive. That means anything from here down is positive. I hope that is understood. Okay, fine. Once you have been able to get this, then you now come under this range. Minus times minus, because this product now, product means multiplication. That means I want to multiply this, the result of these two together. Minus times minus, that will be plus. Minus times plus, that will be minus. Plus times plus, that will be plus. So that means the result here, this is plus. This is plus. So the result you have here is the result of these two multiplied together. Okay? This times this equals to this here. This times this equals to this here. This times this equals to this here. But don't forget that our inequality is what? This times this greater than or equal to 0. And anything greater than 0 must be what? Positive. That means we'll go to wherever we see positive in the result. And these are the places where we see positive, which is greater than 0. Because this is greater than 0, this is greater than 0. So definitely that is telling us that the value, our answer now, answer x, anything less than minus 1, because from minus 1 down here is negative, see. So that means x less than or equals to minus 1 or x. Now, where that we see positive is after 5, from 5 upward, 6, 7, 8. That means x greater than or equals to what? 5. So that will be the result for this inequality quadratic equation. Now, we want to represent the answers we got on a number line. So this minus 1 is this plus 5 is this. Now, since the inequality given, it has to do with greater than or equals to, that means I will put a shaded circle on that minus 1 and also a shaded circle on that what? On that positive 5. Why? Because of this equal to that is involved. Supposing there is no equals to here, it is just greater than, the circles that we have drawn will be what? Will not be shaded. Okay? Take note of that. We are going to have an example on that. Now, anything less than, since x is less than or equals to minus 1, that means the arrow, you draw an arrow from that circle on the minus 1 to the left. Because anything less than, the arrow must go to the left. That means this was for what? X less than or equals to minus 1. For anything greater than, the arrow goes to the right. Don't forget that. That means this is for x greater than or equals to what? 5. So it's as simple as that. Now, let's have a look at this. 2x squared plus 3x less than 2, because the pointed end is pointing here. So anything you see at the pointed end is less than. Anything at the open end is greater than. So 2x squared plus 3x less than 2. We are asked to solve this. Okay, fine. First and foremost, to make it quadratic inequalities, make sure you transfer these two to here so that we have 0, because we must always have 0 on the other side of the inequality sign. So that means 2x squared plus 3x, when plus 2 crosses here, it becomes minus 2, less than what? 0. Okay? Next thing, we factorize this if it is factorizable. If it is not factorizable, you can use any formula you know or any method. Yes, it is factorizable. So, I have taught you how to factorize this. So you can try that and give me your result. Alright, I believe you must have gotten this. Don't forget that I told you we will temporarily change this inequality to equal to. Why? We want to be able to find the value of x. So after we have gotten there, then we restore the inequality back here at this level where we have the two brackets. Please do not forget, this is the level where you restore the inequality back. That means we are going to have 2x minus 1 in bracket, x plus 2 in bracket, less than what? 0. Okay? Now, how do we now know the range for the value of x that will satisfy this inequality? So, like I did the other time, these are horizontal x line. So, these two brackets, 2x minus 1, x plus 2. Then, the two values we got x, this is the smaller one, minus 2. So minus 2. Then this is a bigger one, which is half. Because half is greater than minus 2. I believe you know that. Okay, now, so now anything less than minus 2 is on this side of minus 2, while anything greater than minus 2 is on the right side of minus 2. Anything less than half is on the left side of half. Anything greater than half is on the right side. That means as we are moving this way, is increasing. X is increasing. So now, minus 2. If I put minus 2, exactly minus 2, into this equation here, that will be 2 times minus 2, that will be minus 4. Minus 4 minus 1, that's minus 5. Let me try something lesser than minus 2. That will be minus 3, or minus 4, or minus 5. If I use minus 3, 2 times minus 3, that's minus 6. Minus 6 minus 1, minus 7. That means anything I use up to this minus 2 will give me what? Negative value. Now let me move beyond minus 2 now. After minus 2, since we are moving towards the positive side, that means we have minus 1, 0. Abi? But we don't have what do you call it? We don't have 1 here because this is half here. But we have minus 1, we have 0. Okay? Now, if I put minus 1 here, minus 1 times 2, that is minus 2. Minus 2 minus 1, that is minus 3. It will be negative. Let me now try 0, because there will be 0 before we can get to half. If I put 0 here, 2 times 0, that's 0. Minus 1 is still minus 1. That means here will still be negative. Anything around here will still be negative value. Let me now use the exact half. If I use this half here, 2 times half is 1. 1 minus 1, 0. That means I'm getting exactly 0 on the value of what? X equals to what? Half. Let's now go beyond half. That will be 1, 2, 3, positive. If I put 1 here, 2 times 1, 2, minus 1, that's plus 1. If I put 2, 2 times 2, 4, minus 1, that's plus 3. That means anything we are getting from here up this way, it will be positive. Let's now do the same thing here. If I put anything less than minus 2 here, let's say minus 3. Minus 3 plus 2, that will be negative. If I use minus 4 plus 2, negative 2. That means that will be negative. But if I put exactly minus 2 here, so minus 2 plus 2, that will be 0. That means it's exactly 0 when x is minus 2. Let's now go beyond minus 2. After minus 2, minus 1, 0, half, 1, 2. So let me use minus 1. Minus 1 plus 2, that will be positive, because that will be plus 1. Let me use 0. 0 plus 2, that will be plus 2. So that means, let me use this exact half. Half plus 2, that will be 2.5, which is still what? Positive. That means between here and here, we get positive value. Let's now try anything more than half. Of course, it will be positive. Why? Because since half even give us positive, anything greater than half will give us positive. Put it there. Put 1. 1 plus 2, 3. 2 plus 2, 4. Okay? Now, then, underline. Find the product of these two. These two. That means 2x minus 1 in bracket, x plus 2 in bracket. So we are multiplying them together. That means this result here and the result here. The result here represents this. This one represents this. Under here. Minus times minus. That's plus. Minus times plus. Minus. Plus times plus. Plus. Now, how do we now know which of these will satisfy us? We go back to the inequality. Remember, it is less than 0. And anything less than 0 must be what? Negative. That means you go to where this where we have negative. Less than what? 0. So that means our answer will be x. So if you look at this now, within this range, because this minus is between minus 2 and what? 2. That means anything greater than minus 2 and anything less than half, because it's within here. If you go from -2 this way, it's greater than -2. If you are coming from half down here, it's less than half. That means x must be greater than what? -2, or x less than what? Half, because it's within these two. We have our negative. So this is the range for x that will satisfy this equation. So the next thing now is to go and represent this on a number line. Now, the range is between -2 and half. So, since the inequality we are given in the question is just less than, this is not less than or equals to, so that means we will not shade these two circles. Now, x is greater than -2. I told you anything greater, the arrow will go right. That means from this -2 circle, I will draw an arrow that will go towards the right. Then coming to half, since x is less than half, so less than means from half towards the left, because less than, so it will be coming this way. So what do you observe? These two lines will meet. So once they meet, are you getting me? Then that means this is the number line that satisfies x greater than -2 less than half. I am combining them together now. Why? Because they are lines joined together. You know, the first one we did, their lines go separate way. That's why we cannot combine them together under one x. But now that the lines are joined together, then that means x greater than -2, because x is at the open end there. Why x is less than half? Because x is at the pointed end here. That's the end of quadratic inequalities.